The way of the warrior is the way of action. The way of what? Action. Why is action so critical? Recall the process of manifestation, which means that your thoughts, lead to your feelings, which lead to your actions, which then lead to your results. Now, why are actions so important? Well, let's take a look at it. Thoughts and feelings, are they part of the inner world or part of the outer world? Results, are they part of the inner world or part of the outer world? And therefore, action becomes the what? The bridge. The what? The bridge between the two in the real world. You can think about success all you want. You can feel successful. None of that matters in the real world. It's only the beginning. It's only the root. But if you want to see the fruit, if you want to manifest from the inner world into the outer world success, and isn't that what you want? Yes or no? Then you're going to have to take what? Action. So, therefore, as I said, to succeed, this is what we have to do. That's the warrior's way. Yes or no? Except for one little problem. Your mind is a survival mechanism. What kind of mechanism? And therefore, its primary job isn't action. It's, what's the word, please? Protection. How many people notice that action and protection usually go in opposite directions? Therefore, it kind of looks like this. You've seen something like this before. Bit of a bungee cord, yes? And it actually feels like this. Raise your hand if you've ever experienced where one part of you wants to go, but there's another part of you that wants to stay. Yes or no, right? It's constantly like that. And what does that feel like? There's a tension. What's the word? There's a tension. It's kind of like driving with your foot on the gas pedal and the brake at the same time. Anybody's life ever feel like that? All right. And what is the name of the tension that we feel when one part of us wants to go, but the other part wants to stay? What's the name of that tension? It's fear. Don't forget, you wouldn't feel it. You wouldn't feel any anxiety if you were clear about one side or the other. Understand? If you just were going, like, okay, I want to go over there. Good, I go. See, there's no fear because that doesn't bother me. There's no part of me that says, no, let's stay here. Understand? But it's only when there's that opposition that you feel that tension, we call it fear. What do we call it? Fear. How many people agree that fear and doubt and worry are among our greatest obstacles, not only to success, but to happiness as well? And that's where becoming a warrior comes in. Because being a warrior, the philosophy is this. Taking action what? In spite of fear. In spite of fear. And action in spite of fear has a word. That's right. It's known as the trait of, what is it? Courage. Did you realize that you can only feel courage, only experience courage in the face of fear? You cannot experience courage if there was no fear to begin with. Do you understand? Yes or yes? Since fear plays such a crucial role in our lives, let's take a closer look at it. The definition of fear, you all know it. What was it? False evidence appearing real is not a definition, it is an acronym. The definition of fear is what? One more time, twice as loud. Anticipation of pain. Look it up. Anticipation of pain. When is anticipation? Past, present, or future? Future, thank you. Is future real or imagined? It's imagined, it's not real. Let's check this out. Let's do an experiment. I've had you do it before. Are you ready? Raise your hand tomorrow. Let's try this again. Raise your hand tomorrow. What's the problem? You can't do it. Why not? Because tomorrow does not exist anywhere but in your head. True or true? Only in our mind. The proof of that, therefore, the same way, fear only exists in your mind, because fear is anticipation in the future. And the future doesn't exist except for in here. The proof of this is, let's say I was going to ask two people to come up here and do a speech. One person is oh yeah, I can't wait. I've always wanted to do this. And another person is scared shitless, petrified. What's the problem? The speech? The stage? No, they're the same for both people. Where's the problem? Where's the fear? Right there. Now listen closely. It can change your life. Our conditioned mind is like the sentry. What's the word? The sentry on the ship. It's not the captain. It's not the happiness director. It's not the success director. Its job is what? To warn of danger. Danger. And that's why it's always scanning for what's wrong or what could go wrong in any situation. And it wants to do a good job and feel important, so it's constantly screaming, look out, be careful, trouble over here, trouble over there. Meanwhile, everything's just fine. You can compare it to an over-worried mother. It has good intentions, but it will drive you frickin' crazy if you keep listening to it. Yes? What is your mind's favorite phrase? Yeah, somebody said it. What if? What if this happens? What if that happens? Notice, when is what if? Past, present, or future? Future. Meaning it's just your what? Imagine. Your mind is the greatest soap opera script writer in history. It makes up incredible stories, usually dramas and disasters, of things that never happened and probably never will. I don't know about you, but when I was about 8 years old, even a little bit less, we were living in a house where my bedroom was at the very end. Let's say here's my bedroom. And my bedroom was at the very end of a fairly long hallway, like towards that wall. My bedroom wasn't very big. It was kind of like this. And here was the wall at the end of the bedroom. And here was my little single bed. And then there was about this much space. And then here was my door. I don't know what was over there. I don't kind of remember. But I know my bed was over there. The wall was over there. Here was the door. And here was the space. Well, every single night when I went to bed, I would take off from the very end of the hall and run full speed until I hit the very edge of my room and dive onto my bed, right, without ever coming close to that floor, and go get into bed. Now, why would I do that? That's right, because the boogeyman was under the bed, and if I stepped foot anywhere close, it would grab me, suck me under, and I would never be heard from again. Everyone else have the same boogeyman? Yes? So everything was fine until I guess I got bigger and didn't realize it. And I took off one night, and I went bam, and I went so far I smashed my head into the wall. And it wasn't just a little smash, it was a big smash. My head started bleeding. My parents came up, they were going, what happened up here? I thought the ceiling fell in or something. They rushed me to the hospital. I was okay, but they, did the wake them up every 2-hour routine type of thing. So I realized the next day that I couldn't be diving into bed. And I really didn't know how else to get into bed because I'd done this for 5 years. So I called my friend Walter over. And Walter came over with his hockey stick and a flashlight. And we decided we were going to flush out the boogeyman. Well, we started out at the very back of the hallway looking and couldn't see anything, came closer and closer and closer, until finally, with my broom and his hockey stick, we were kind of moving it around, and we couldn't feel anything. Well, we realized right there, the fact is you just can't feel boogeymen, right? So we took the flashlight, and we couldn't get far enough. We were looking underneath, and my mother had those bed curtains or something, so you couldn't just see it. I mean, he's holding up with the curtain with this hockey stick, and I'm looking underneath there, and I go, I don't see anything. And he's looking, I said, this is impossible, How could this be? You can't. The boogeyman's invisible. Anyways, finally, I decided with his help, with him right there, we took a bet. I lost. And I had to stand over here once nightfall came. My parents were standing over there watching us do this whole thing. They didn't say anything, at least now I know why. So I stood over here. I said, if anything happens, nothing happened. I came closer, nothing happened. I came closer, I got into bed, and I realized one thing. The boogeyman was on vacation. Raise your hand if you have ever had an experience similar in some way, shape, or form. Especially with guys, you remember the girls' dolls in their room, or those animals that would come alive at night and have a whole, seance and party, kill people and things like that? The porcelain dolls were the worst, though, aren't they? Oh my God, they could just kill you by looking at them.